Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna. Just after lunch prasadam, Prabhupada sat on a chair out on the veranda. Tamal Krishna Maharaj and I sat at his feet, eager as ever to share some quiet moments with His Divine Grace. Prabhupada volunteered to us that he had a dream last night in which he saw a planet where pious Mohammedans go. We smiled. I asked if such a place actually exists. He said, Prabhupada tilted head from one side to side and said, "Oh yes," smiling. So, this was very interesting. This Jai Srimad Bhakti Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. That Prabhupada had a dream. We don't know. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigehana Bhujaya. We don't know why Prabhupada had such a dream, but he had a dream. This is a dream that Prabhupada saw where the pious Muslims go. This is the planet.
What is this, a spiritual planet?
I don't know, it's just as a planet. He saw a planet where the pious Mohammedans go. So, we have to ask Prabhupada, what was that planet? But interesting that Prabhupada saw this. Okay, so this is it what I wanted to read about Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Because we have so many other things to read, there's an introduction to the chapter 5 and several verses, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we have Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Prayasha Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We're reading from chapter 5, canto 6. Narada Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha, which is also very connected to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati today. And Prabhupada summarized this chapter as follows. This chapter relates how all the sons of Daksha were delivered from the clutches of the material energy by following the advice of Narada, who was therefore cursed by Daksha. Influenced by the external energy of Lord Vishnu, Prajapati Daksha begot 10,000 sons in the womb of his wife Panchajani. 10,000 sons. This is not possible to understand. It's nicht, no, there's computer. These sons, who were all of the same character and mentality, were known as the Haryashvas. Ordered by their father to create more and more population, the Haryashvas went west to the place where the river Sindhu, now the Indus, meets the Arabian Sea. In those days, this was the site of a holy lake named Narayana Saras, where there are many saintly persons. The Haryashvas began practicing austerities, penances, and meditation, which are the engagements of the highly exalted, renounced order of life. However, when Srila Narada Muni saw these boys engaged in commendable austerities simply for material creation, he thought it's better to release them from this tendency. So, you know what's going on here? Daksha had all these 10,000 sons, and he told them, okay, now I also, because this is Daksha's service, to procreate, to create people, to create, population. So he was, as every father wants his sons to continue in the business he is doing. If you have the person who sells the sweets in India, he wants his son to take over the shop when he grows up. So Daksha wanted his sons to take over the job, to procreate, to create as many living entities as possible. And so they thought, in order to get a good progeny, they wanted to do some austerity. He sent them to this Narayana Sara. What is the name? Narayana Saras, the lake near the river Sindhu in the Arabian Sea. So it's on the other side, meaning not on Bengal, but on the other side, on the east side, on the west side of India. So they did this very great austerities. And as destiny happens, Narada Muni passed by and he saw this youthful, powerful young man, and he thought, why are they doing austerities for this material thing? They should actually do austerities for Krishna. So which is another thing. In the material world, we do so many austerities, willingly or unwillingly. It is described that the poor people, they do austerities unwillingly because they're poor. So they don't have choice but to be austere. Sleeping very simply and eating very simply and fasting sometimes if they're really poor. And so Narada thought, why do they need to do this? Better if they do austerities for Krishna. So this is the situation here. Narada Muni described to the boys their ultimate goal of life and advised them not to become ordinary karmis, to beget children. Thus all the sons of Daksha became enlightened and left, never to return. Haribol. He convinced them they should go preaching, and they just, so they never went back home. Imagine the shock of Daksha. He was waiting for his sons and they never came. Prajapati Daksha was very sad at the loss of his sons. He begot 1,000 more sons in the womb of his wife, Panchajani, and ordered them to increase progeny. So he thought, I lost 10,000, now I have 1,000, and do it again. He asked him to do the austerities. These sons were named Savalashvas, also engaged in worshipping Lord Vishnu to beget children. But Narada Muni convinced them to become mendicants and not to become children. So Narada met them also, and he said, this is very bad. And foiled twice in his attempt to increase population, Prajapati Daksha became most angry at Narada Muni and cursed him, saying that in the future he will not be able to stay anywhere. So he was cursed to become eternal sannyasi. Since Narada Muni, being fully qualified, was fixed in tolerance, he accepted Daksha's curse. Prabhupada says also that he is equally, I was cursed by the parents of my disciples. Just like Narada Muni, I was cursed by the parents of my disciples, therefore I cannot stay in one place. He was always traveling when he studied ISKCON. Of course, Prabhupada was not cursed, but he's just out of humility. So text number 1. Shri Shuka uvacha tasyam sa panchajanyam vai vishnumaya mayopabhamritaha haryashva samgyan ayutam putran ajanaya dvibuhu. Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued, impelled by the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu, Prajapati Daksha begot 10,000 sons in the womb of Panchajani, Asikini. My dear king, these sons were called the Haryashvas. Text 2. My dear king, all the sons of Prajapati Daksha were alike in being very gentle and obedient to the orders of their father. When their father ordered them to beget children, they all went in the western direction. In the west, where the river Sindhu meets the sea, there's a great place of pilgrimage known as Narayana Saras. Many sages and other advanced in spiritual consciousness live there. This is like a vacation spot, but for the sadhus. Anybody listening when I'm speaking, or it seems like nobody's kind of, I mean, I don't mind, I can speak to the camera, but I don't see any response, but anyways, maybe I should just... In that holy place, the Haryashvas began regularly touching the lake's waters and bathing in them. Gradually becoming very much purified, they became inclined toward the activities of Paramahamsas. Nevertheless, because their father had ordered them to increase the population, they performed severe austerities to fulfill his desires. One day, when the great sage Narada saw these boys performing such fine austerities to increase the population, Narada approached them. This is what Narada says. The great sage Narada said, "My dear Haryashvas, you have not seen the extremities of the earth. There is a kingdom where only one man lives, and where is a hole from which, having entered, no one emerges. A woman there who is extremely unchaste, adorned herself with various attractive dresses, and the man who lives there is her husband. In that kingdom there is a river flowing in both directions, and wonderful home made of 25 material elements, a swan that vibrates various sounds, and an automatically revolving object made of sharp razors and thunderbolts. You have not seen all this, and therefore you are inexperienced boys without advanced knowledge. How then will you create progeny?" This is some allegorical story. This is an allegorical story. Purport. Narada Muni saw that the boys known as Haryashvas were already purified because of living in the holy place and were practically ready for liberation. Why then should they be encouraged to become entangled in family life, which is so dark that once having entered, one cannot leave it? This is the analogy. This hole is a family life. Through this analogy, Narada Muni asked them to consider why they should follow their father's order to be entangled in family life. Indirectly, he asked them to find within the cores of their hearts the situation of the Supersoul, Lord Vishnu, for then they would be truly experienced. In other words, one who is too involved in this material environment and does not look within the court of his heart is increasingly entangled in illusory energy. Narada Muni's purpose was to get the sons of Prajapati Daksha to divert their attention towards spiritual realization instead of involving themselves in the ordinary but complicated affairs of propagation. The same advice was given by Prahlad Maharaj to his father. Tat sadhu manye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna diyam asad grahat hitvatma patam grihamanda kupam vanam gato yad dharim ashrayeta. In the dark well of family life, one is always full of anxiety because of having accepted a temporary body. If one wants to free himself from anxiety, one should immediately leave family life and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vrindavan. Narada Muni advised the Haryashvas not to enter the household life, since they were already advanced in spiritual knowledge. Why should they be entangled in that way? Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. So this is a very befitting verse to today's appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is the most auspicious day because this day, first of all, we have an opportunity to remember such a great and amazing personality. Without Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we will not be sitting here, basically. As there's a song, Yadi Gora na hoito, by one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, explaining that if Lord Chaitanya has not come, the world will not see what is real bhakti, and the world will not experience Radha Ramahima Prema Rasa Sima, the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna, and one will not know what prema is without Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So this is the song. So we also can say, if Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has not appeared, the world will not spread all over the world. The Krishna consciousness will not spread all over the world. As simple as that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to preach, but he was householder, he had many children, and he was not a, you can say, preacher type. Preacher type, he would not go, and speak very strongly, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote many books, and he actually preached a lot, and he even sent the book to Canada, famous McGill University. This is the first ever, like you can say, transcendental literature from India that went out. And the book was Life of Priests and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya. And Bhaktivinoda very much had a desire to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world, but he himself was not, you can say, able, or as Prabhupada says, he was merciful enough to leave everything to us. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed, please send me a ray of Vishnu. A ray of Vishnu. Ray means, Strahl, so Strahl. And Krishna sent him, ray of Vishnu, in the form of his son. Imagine the family, you have a son with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is your father. It means, what kind of family is this? It's a very unusual, transcendental family. Two great acharyas live in the same family. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very much, he understood immediately who Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was. At that time, he gave him the name Bimala Prasad. Bimala Prasad. So this was the mercy of Bimala, of Durga Devi. This was the mercy that he gave him this name. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, from very young age, he displayed some amazing qualities. For example, he was playing in the sand like any other child. He was, 4 or 5 years old, and he found a Shalagram Shila in the sand. Imagine. You play in the sand, oh, there's a Shalagram Shila here. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur initiated him in the Simha mantra. He gave him the Simha mantra to chant. This was the initiation by his father. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had this very gift to study and to remember things. And he would, by the age of 7, he would memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita by heart. At the age of 11, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, at that time Bimala Prasad, was traveling with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, who organized this famous Namahata, Kirtan Melas, like we have now, Kirtan Mela for 3 days. But Bhaktivinoda would have a Kirtan Mela tour. He would go from village to village, and people would come. Sometimes thousands and thousands of villagers would come and listen to Kirtan and Prachar. So they would sing and give lectures. And guess who would give lectures? The lectures would be given by young Bimala Prasad, 11 years old, to the thousands of people, heavy Bhagavad Gita preaching. So, but another very important thing is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur trained Bhaktisiddhanta in printing books. Because at that time, there was not like now, the printing presses, you just go, only the rich people had printing press. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was rich enough to buy a printing press. So he bought a printing press, and he taught his son how to operate printing press, how to, how to do everything with the printing. So this was he was expert in not only in speaking but also in operating the printing press. He would know how to fix it and everything. And so much so that when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati started his movement of Gaudiya Math, he established an opposite of the deities. Verstehst du Englisch?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Opposite of the deities, there was a printing press. And this printing press would print all of it. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, this is no different from kirtan. Not the sound of the printing press, no different from kirtan. This is interesting. And he would call it Brihad Mridanga. There's this, and then he would explain Mridanga, the sound of Mridanga, you can hear 2 blocks. Hare Krishna, boom, 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 boom. But Brihad Mridanga, this is a bigger Mridanga. If you print one book and distribute one book, this book can go much more than 2 blocks. So he was very much fond of printing. So there's so many, I would just jump from topic to topic. I'm not organized because so I'll just give you this. This is the logo of Gaudiya Math. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when he started Gaudiya Math, he personally, this is the instruction this is the logo of the Gaudiya Math. So what is interesting here is that there's 2 sides, you can say, of the logo, the left side and the right side. The left side, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wanted to have a Vidhi mark or devotional service in rules and regulations, Vidhi mark. And on the right side is the Bhakti mark, or spontaneous devotional service. So in the middle is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is in the center of everything, on the top, you mean. So the right side here, this book, Radha and Krishna, printing press, interestingly enough, is there. Printing press. Printing press, and on the left side we have this ghee lamp, bell, the glocke, and Lakshmi Narayan, and the book on the left of next to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Hari Bhakti Vilas, meaning the rules and regulations. And the book of, actually, when you look at the lecture, on the left is Hari Bhakti Vilas, on the right is Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the, here we have a printing press and Mridanga is the preaching. We have Radha and Krishna. Interestingly enough, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati considered Mridanga and printing press to be on the side of Bhakti, or the pure devotional service, or spontaneous, of devotional service. And then left we have this following the rules and regulations. And this is, for me, they were very interesting things.
Is this deity worship?
Sorry? Yeah, deity worship. This is like a bells and glocking.
This is not on the devotion side?
Apparently, Bhaktisiddhanta considered worshipping in this way, This is actually spontaneous devotional service. There's no bells and, Goswamis, they just had a deity in the bead bag, and they were just, when the rains, it's famous Lokanath Goswami, there was a tree hollow inside of the tree, and Lokanath Goswami didn't know what to do with the deity. He put the deity inside of the tree so the deity doesn't get rain, and he just sits there. And this was the worship of the Goswamis. Srinivasacharya also, he was keeping the deity in a bead bag. This is very small, called Julan Thakur. Maybe he had a bead bag, but. And so Goswamis, basically, this was the worship of the Goswamis. And we know Sanatana Goswami also put sometimes the deity on the tree while he was chanting. He would put the deity was standing on a tree. And so it's a different kind of worship. And this worship here is what we have worship, as Prabhupada explained also to us in ISKCON, that we worship Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. Not that they are Lakshmi Narayan, they are Radha and Krishna, but we worship him in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. And the reason is, Lakshmi Narayan is is actually Vidhi Bhakti, is following the rules and regulations, and or sadhana bhakti, and spontaneous devotional service is spontaneous, meaning there's no, as Madhavendra Puri said, all these Gayatri mantras I chant, all these mantras I chant, all these rituals, sorry, I cannot think about this anymore, because wherever I sit, I think about Radha and Krishna, or youthful son of Nanda Maharaj. I cannot, this is bothering me. So this is two different approaches. And Prabhupada wanted us to worship Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. And meaning that we are regular, that we offer properly, that we offer according to this Pancharatrika, with the bell and all these things, fire and all these things. There was one story I heard by Dinabandhu Prabhu, I assume this is from the Shastra, that when Brahma committed offense to Krishna, stealing his boys, cowherd boys, he realized this, he came down, returned the boys, and he offered obeisances, and he offered an arati to Krishna. And Krishna was sitting on this throne, and Brahma was offering this amazing arati, And then Brahma was gone, and all these boys were like, who was that? They did not know who was that. They said, who was that? And so the boys started playing with these items. Ooh, Krishna. They're like offering in a joking way. Kids, they thought, oh, look at this, he did this to Krishna. And they said that Krishna get more pleasure from this offering from his boys than to actual arati done by Brahma. Of course, it's not like we are not criticizing in any way Lord Brahma, just saying this is two different approaches. So this was the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's mood. And another reason why we are worshipping Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan is that otherwise, where is the end? Who can find, you can say, I'm on spontaneous devotional service, I can do, I sometimes, what is it, in one temple in Vrindavan, they put jeans on Radharani, was it? Because they are spontaneous. And I personally saw that went to one temple in Vrindavan, and the Radha Krishna had the watches. Big watch, gold. Maybe, but therefore, better we worship, is a safe way. We worship Radha and Krishna in mood of Lakshmi Narayan. Of course, and as our devotion develops, we will see they are Radha and Krishna, and we will develop attachment to them, Raga Bhakti. But this is a personal thing. Externally, we do this, and this was the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati is established. So, what else? Hare Krishna. There's so many things to say about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was an amazing actual personality. It's very powerful. There's no other ways to explain, but powerful. For example, he would do Chaturmasya. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, you can say, broke many, ideas at that time. At that time, Vaishnavas did not follow Chaturmasya, because Vaishnavas are considered to be Paramahamsas. What we are doing right now, this is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati made it such a way. But in those days, Vaishnavas considered themselves to be Paramahamsas beyond. Because this was, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is no such a thing as following the rules and regulations. Everybody was spontaneous. Like, for example, I was looking about this Purushottam Das. Today is the appearance day of Purushottam Das also. And I was thinking, who is Purushottam Das? And I was reading, and he's one of the 20 Gopals of Nityananda. He's associate of Lord Nityananda. And so he was always absorbed in childish plays. So imagine some old man, childish play. This is spontaneous devotional service. You know? So, this is the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas were like this. Always engage in chanting, not really strict followers because they are beyond this. If you chant constantly, whatever hundreds and hundreds of rounds, you don't have now time to whatever or mood to worship in such a way. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati start following Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya is the 4 months beginning with August, September, October, November, something like this, depends. Sometimes it's changing, but something like this, 4 months. And these 4 months, July also, are considered rainy seasons, actually, in India. Rain starts, supposedly to start, sometimes doesn't, but around mid-June. So then it's considered Chaturmasya, Chatur, 4 months. And in these 4 months, there's in different scriptures that prescribed different austerities to do. So if somebody follows, it is described, if householders strictly follow Chaturmasya, they will go to heavenly planets. So, follow Chaturmasya. But Vaishnavas, of course, beyond this, they don't. But Bhaktisiddhanta wanted to follow, but not to follow Chaturmasya according to the Shastra, but according to, he added devotional touch to it. He was chanting like Haridas Thakur, so many rounds, 300,000 names. He would eat only once a day after the sunset. So all day no eating. After the sunset he would eat. But what would he eat? He cooked himself, of course, only rice, and then he put a little ghee, no spices, no salt, just little ghee and rice. And he would put it on the ground. And he would put his hands like this, and he would bend down on his knees and eat. And once he get up, then he cannot come back anymore. So this was the meaning, was very strict. Imagine, this is like a cow, this is described as a, so he did this, it's a go grass. Imagine, that would be food for today, for that day. So next day, again, fasting and this and that. And then he did not cut his nails, he did not shave, he did not cut his hair, and he would sleep on the earth. No bed, no pillow, just like this on the earth. Not even mat. No, we have a sleeping mat, nothing, just on the floor. But because he was fasting so much and he was sleeping like this, so he was very emaciated. Emaciated means just bones, no flesh. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw him, he said, "I don't approve. I don't approve of this." His father, he said, "This is not good." He says, this is unnecessary austerities. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Of course, Bhaktisiddhanta was very much devoted to his father, and this was this is how Bhaktisiddhanta has followed Chaturmasya, for example. Another thing is, let me see, I'll just jump from here and there. The reason Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was, of course, instructed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur to preach Krishna consciousness. He was his ray of Vishnu, executive hand. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was thinking, before I start preaching, I should go and see how other people do it. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was also a worldly man. He was not just like some village guy sitting and chanting. He actually was one of the best students in the University of Calcutta. He even wrote this book on Surya Siddhanta. And they wanted him to become a professor when he was only 20-something years old. He was very young, because he was so much knowledgeable. And later on, Bhaktisiddhanta, as we call it in ISKCON, he worked karmi job. Do you know this? He worked a karmi job. Karmi job means he was 7 years teaching a son of a king. He was his personal tutor. He was a teacher. So he got salary for it. He was brahmachari, but he earned some money. And meanwhile, we can imagine how much knowledge Bhaktisiddhanta read everything, basically. Everything, whatever was there, he would read. And he would remember all of this. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wanted to preach, he was thinking, I should actually see how other people are doing it. So he went to tour to South India and East Bengal and South India to prepare himself to preach Krishna consciousness. I have a list here of all these people he met, some very important dignitaries. He spoke to professors, he spoke to scholars, to the government people. He was speaking to everybody. He wanted to get as much knowledge as possible. But the most, what he got, he was in Udupi, in Madhva sect, and he went to Ramanuja Sampradaya. From Ramanuja Sampradaya, he got several things. One thing is what he got from Ramanuja Sampradaya is sannyas. As we said before, there was no sannyas in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Nobody wore saffron. This was written in the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sanatana Goswami, who were explaining, because the red color, red or sanya, or this color, saffron color, is not fit for Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because this is you can say below, we are on the higher platform, the Paramahamsas. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, for the preaching, he thought this is a very good idea, sannyas, because he saw the people are very much respecting sannyasis. If you go as a Babaji, or if you go as wearing white, people will think like, okay, some attached householder. He's just like me. I can vouch for this. But if you go saffron, sannyas, that people are like, oh sannyas. Just like Prabhupada, when he said, if Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, if you announce today, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada will speak under a tree, who would come? 2 people maybe? But if you build a huge temple of Vedic planetarium, thousands of people will come and they will say, wow. This is just people are, I don't want to use the word shudras, but something like this. Not much, not intelligent, especially not spiritually intelligent. So therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta saw this and he said, we have to use some tricks, transcendental tricks. So taking sannyas is one of these tricks. Becoming a brahmachari, wearing saffron, and so on and so forth. Interestingly enough, they did not want to speak to him in Sringeri Math in South India. Sringeri is a Acharya, Mayavadi Acharya, Shankaracharya. In Shankaracharya Math, they did not want to speak to him because, number one, he was not a sannyasi, and number two, he did not come from Brahmana family. Because in Brahmana, Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not come from Brahmana. He came from Vanik Gotra, which is not a Brahmana. It's considered Shudra family in Bengal. So at that time they were so strict, how am I going to speak to Shudra for what? Although Bhaktisiddhanta was highly qualified, they did not speak to him. Another thing interesting, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, at that time when he was going to South India, he went to one temple in Madurai, Shiva temple in Conjeevaram, and Meenakshi temple, Durga temple, and then the Shri Shri Vijay Gauradesh Ki Jai. Actually, with all respect to all the bhaktas, I'm speaking only to the bhaktas. When the deity is opening and the speaker sits, you don't offer obeisance to the deities, because this is Bhagavatam is not different from the deities. Just for your bhakta program, Kijai. The same thing. Actually, in reality, in the Vaishnava etiquette, even if your guru walks in the temple room and the temple is open, the deity is open, you actually do not offer obeisance to your guru, because it's considered, you give preference before Krishna. So we don't do this. So the next time when the deed is opening or deed is closing, we just maybe do like this and just listen the Bhagavatam. Because in this way, if you do this, then you discriminate between Bhagavatam and Krishna, which is not possible. Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. Alright, next. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati entered these temples and then they saw Vaishnava Tilak and they were very surprised. They said, why are you doing this? Because they know from South India, the Ramanuja Sampradaya or Madhva Sampradaya, they do not enter the demigod temples. Because it's considered, they're worshipping Vishnu, they don't worship. And Bhaktisiddhanta explained that I came here to offer my obeisance to Shiva, not as a supreme, but Shiva as a great devotee of Krishna. So by doing also this, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati showed, or you can say, paved the way for us to actually join the Hare Krishna movement. Because even nowadays, India is always so strict and very, sectarian, you can say, very, brahmanas are there, you cannot, they don't eat from food from the lower castes and so on and so forth. And even now we are not allowed to enter Jagannath Puri temple because we are the lower species, apparently, because we don't have a brown skin. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, you can say, broke all this. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in order, when he came back from South India, he went to Puri, where his father was living, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And his father told him, you should, chant Hare Krishna, and he was chanting, preparing to preach. And then what happened, there was at that time, Babaji, who was a friend of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, friend of the family, and then he invented a mantra. It's not anymore Hare Krishna mantra, but he somehow discovered the mantra is Nitai Gaura Radha Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. It's a different mantra. It's a very catchy mantra. Nitai Gaura Radha Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Because, Nitai Gaura Radha Shyam, it's nothing wrong in it, but the wrong is that the mantra is invented. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati could not tolerate that. So he said he would go anywhere on the street and he would stop people and said, this mantra, Nitai Gaura? He said, this is wrong. So he would harass basically everybody on the street in Puri at that time. So this Baba was very much not happy with this. So much so that they even threatened to kill him. And that India is like, words are one thing, but it's just threaten. You want to disappear? Have how you call this? Cement shoes, throw into the ocean. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, he said, then you should get away from here because you will get killed. So go to Mayapur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur told him, go to Mayapur and take care of Yoga Pit, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur started a temple where he saw the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is also another, you can say, controversial point, because at that time Babaji's Gaudiya Vaishnavas in Navadvip. Navadvip is an island separated by Ganga from Mayapur. Ganga and Jalangi on this side, this is island here, and Navadvip was on the other side. So these Babajis were living in Navadvip, and they had an opinion that appearance of Gauranga Mahaprabhu was in Navadvip. There's an even place where they thought this is the original Yoga Pit, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw the light coming. He was in the other island, Godrum, and he saw from his house, and he saw this is the place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So he went there to Mayapur, where it is now, right now. And so he also took some maps. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also very, not just sentimental. Actually, you can see that both Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur were both materially very, very together. They were not just some, babas. They were actually very intelligent people. And they were also materially together. Bhaktivinoda Thakur went to he looked at old maps from hundreds of years ago. And he found that this was the actual place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And then to confirm it, they called Jagannath Das Babaji in Vrindavan, because he was considered a pure devotee at that time. So please come here. Jagannath Das was at that time 30 years old. And his servant was carrying him in the basket. Imagine. You have a servant. I mean, how much mercy is this? You carry a guru in the basket. Because, people, if you're 100 years old, how big you are, how much you can eat. So basically, it's just some bones, So he was carrying him, and he came to the place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Jagannath jumped out of the basket. And he said, this is the place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here. So confirmed, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur began to build a temple there in Yogapith. Interesting enough, in the mood of Sankirtan, in mood of Sankirtan, together praising Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not want to build temple, from big donations. There's some people offering him big donation. I can give you big donation, you can build a temple. Bhaktivinoda said, no, this is not the mood of Lord Chaitanya. So he went door to door and collected from each person little money to actually build a temple. In the same way, our temple in ISKCON Tirupati by Revati Nandan Prabhu was built. The huge temple was built only from book distribution. Every rupee who came to this temple was built by book distribution. This is an amazing thing. He also had the opportunity, some rich life members, they wanted to give him money. And he said, no, I want to give it only from book distribution. Imagine, it took him longer, but every brick was built from Sankirtan. This is amazing, amazing thing. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur did this. And then he sent Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to take care of the yoga pit. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said no, because I have to chant. He vowed to chant 1 billion holy names. This is like, you have to chant 300,000, like 192 rounds for at least 10 years. Every day. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no, I want to chant, And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, where is it? Yeah. Do you want to abandon the world, neglecting service to Mahaprabhu? It's a very similar story to Arjuna. He wanted to abandon the world, neglecting the service of Krishna. He said, such avoidance of responsibility would be like renunciation of the Mayavadis. Wow. These are all heavy. These are all heavy people, actually. When you read this, you think like, oh my God, we are here like, oh, would you like this, would you like that? But actually, they were heavy people. What is this? I mean, if somebody chants 192 rounds, we will keep him like, oh, he's a pure devotee. And Bhaktivinoda said, what is this? Nonsense. You're actually nonsense. You want to avoid the responsibility. You are like a Mayavadi. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife died, he wanted to marry another woman. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati called him attached householder. You're attached householder. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had 10 or 12 children, and 2 were prominent devotees actually, Bhaktisiddhanta, and another son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur was named Bimala Prasad. And Bimala Prasad later on started his own movement, following the footsteps of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Babaji, he took the Babaji Vesha. Sorry? Oh no, okay, not Bimala Prasad, Lalita Prasad, sorry. There was Lalita Prasad and Bimala Prasad. So Lalita Prasad became Babaji, and he was following in this line, taking Babaji Vesha and so on and so forth. And Bhakti, they were apparently, I don't know what kind of relationship. Sometimes they said that they had a good relationship, sometimes not. But there was some instance with Bhaktisiddhanta called him my Sahajya Bai, my Sahajya brother. So heavy people. These are heavy people. It's nectar. When you read, there's a book about Bhakti Vikas Swami. He wrote this wonderful book, Bhakti Santa Vaibhava. And you're just like, wow, this is a nectar world, actually. It's so pure. The purity is there. There's no all of this and influence. when you see today, nowadays, when you see how much influence we have from the medias and from the Facebook and so many things, and you think like, what is all this? Bhaktisiddhanta will cut all this in 1 second. What else I wanted to say is here, the Bhaktisiddhanta, because the time is also, we don't want to take too much. Let me see. Oh yeah, what is Bhaktisiddhanta started Gaudiya Mat. Gaudiya Mat means place of worship, like a Gaudiya temple, like we call it temple, ISKCON temple. So Gaudiya Mat, place of worship. And he opened 64 temples throughout India. And they have the biggest temples in Mayapur and Calcutta. But there are other temples also. You can find them all over India, more or less. They're still, in a more or less degree, they're still there. But what I, experience, or what I seen, that the spirit of Bhaktisiddhanta's preaching is not easy to keep up. Meaning the spirit of preaching is not easy to keep up. I found one website, one Gaudiya Mat, and they offer, I don't want to now minimize anything, but what do they offer is some homas, some yagya sacrifices, haircutting ceremonies, and some house programs. I was thinking, wow, this was a powerful mission, preaching to the scientists, philosophers all over the world. Bhaktisiddhanta wanted to send, and now it's reduced to this, which is a warning to us also that we also don't reduce ourselves to as Bhaktisiddhanta call it, having shilas to crack nuts. Shalagam Shila is a stone from Gandaki river, and it represented Vishnu. Is actually not different from Vishnu. And then and then he wanted to cynically say that you can crack in walnuts. You need some stone, so you crack the walnuts. So basically, to use Krishna in our material propensities, that we just show our deities and expect donations, and then we are happy. The visitors are happy, they give money, and you're happy, and everybody's happy. But the reality, the pure devotional service is disappearing from the temples. And so this is a very good lesson, that we should not do this. We should actually try not to compromise our philosophy, try not to compromise our practice, because otherwise everything will diminish. Now we don't see it, but in 50 years, this will happen. It's already happened now. Those who are a little older in the movement, we can see the difference. How was the difference, 30, whatever, 5 years ago, how is different? It's different. Many temples are very different. The way they speak, the way we speak, the way I present our philosophy, the way we live, very different. So it can happen in another 35, 50 years, it can be completely something different. As there's the example, Jayadvaita Swami gave example of, what's the name of this? There's a Christian order, mission, I forgot their name now. Anyways, so they were collecting young men, brahmacharis, in the beginning when they started, in the early 1900s or late 1800s. They were collecting young men, brahmacharis, and they were spreading the word of Jesus all over the world. And they introduced this charity. So then slowly, everything so much deteriorated, and nowadays this is the place where you buy old furniture, because people give charity to this company, and everybody's paid in there. There's no more brahmacharis, no more really much of a Christianity, and people give charity, and then you have this furniture, and then the people, when we had the temples in America, we were buying from them a lot because it's cheaper furniture, and you just go there and you buy some cheap shelf, whatever, cheap tables, because this is what they get is donation, so they want to sell it as a half price or 1/3 of the price or whatever. So this powerful preaching mission, that all the young men become some business, charity business. So we do not want to become like this. And if we think this is not possible, it is possible. Everything is possible. But material energy is very powerful. and everything is possible. So therefore, this is a good time to remember Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his uncompromising spirit. Well, as this is at the end of his life, we don't want to speak about it right now. He wrote, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wrote many books. Prakrita Rasa Shata Dushini, 100 warnings against mundane mellows. This is a very good one. Mundane mellows, mundane ideas in Krishna consciousness. 100 warnings. Brahmana or Vaishnava, this is very good. The conclusion of comparison between Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, where Bhaktisiddhanta established that Vaishnavas are higher than the Brahmanas. This is another thing. Also, nowadays, also coming to us again, coming to us, to the Western world, that this Brahminical culture, Indian Brahminical culture, they present it as higher as Vaishnavism. Like sometimes Indian, kids here, students, they come and they tell you, oh, I'm from Brahmana family. I said, well, the mood is coming back. The Brahmanas are higher, but Vaishnavas are actually higher than the Brahmanas. Sorry about that. So Bhaktisiddhanta established this. But imagine Bhaktisiddhanta in the middle of, he was alone against the whole world. This is his song, Me Against the World. It's Bhaktisiddhanta against the whole world. Fighting this way, fighting this way, fighting this way. And someone was think like, oh my God, this man is just a troublemaker. But he is a troublemaker for Krishna. And because he made so much trouble, we are here. This is the only reason. Because he was a troublemaker. Then he wrote this book, Vaishnava K. What type of Vaishnava you are, my dear mind. He wrote commentary on the Bhakti, Srimad Bhagavatam. He wrote commentary on Chaitanya Bhagavata. He wrote commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita, commentary on Upadeshamrita, Shikshashtakam, commentary on Shikshashtakam. Additionally, hundreds of his discourses were transcribed, meaning all these lectures were transcribed. And they're printed in following periodicals. Gaudiya Math at that time published so many magazines. They published Harmonist, a fortnightly, meaning every 2 months, one magazine. The Gaudiya magazine, the Sajjana Toshani, the Kirtan, Paramarti, Bhagavata. And he published this in Bengali, Assami language, and Oriya language. And he published also, as we know, daily a newspaper called Nadia Prakash. Daily newspaper. So Bhaktisiddhanta's press was always running fresh, printing more and more books. He realized that this is the way, he had this genius, that this is the way to spread Krishna consciousness. I was in New York once, looking from our temple, and I saw this building, and somebody showed me, he said, this building is the building of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is in Brooklyn. And this is the main printing press for the whole world, And they print, hundreds of different languages. So they just print this, how you call this term? What is it auf Deutsch?
Watchtower.
Huh?
Watchtower.
Watchtower. What is it auf Deutsch?
Wachturm.
Huh?
Wachturm. Früher hieß es so, vielleicht heißt das anders.
Wachturm?
Wachturm.
Wachturm, genau, Wachturm, yeah. Watchtower. And they have any country you go, they are standing there, holding this. Every country. And this, because they also understand, this is the key, the printed word is the key. So Bhaktisiddhanta understood, book distribution is very important, spreading the knowledge is very, very important. So therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati started Gaudiya Math. He took all these ideas, what he had from different Ramanuja Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, what he saw, and then he made into Gaudiya Math, what we have right now. So we have brahmacharis, this sannyasi, grihastha, and vanaprasthas. So this is actually Varnashram, because the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are beyond Varnashram, but he made this Varnashram is very important. And then he made this whole temple president, Basically, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in his mind, this is such an amazing mind, he created everything out of nothing. Just imagine. And Prabhupada only brought this to the West. And he just made it. Okay, this is it. Which is another genius, of course. But Bhaktisiddhanta made up everything. Imagine how creative. This is a supreme creativity. Okay, sannyas. He gave himself sannyas. This is like, imagine. Because he did not, to get sannyas from, like for example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Mayavadi school, And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati just took sannyas. They said, he put a picture of Gokishore Das Babaji and gave him sannyas. But Gokishore Babaji was a Babaji, So he just basically one day he says, okay, I'm a sannyasi today. Ta-da, Imagine the shock, He was wearing like this, white, Gaudiya Vaishnavas actually white. We are wearing white. This is our color. And then he comes with this danda, sannyas, and everybody's wondering what happened. And he said, from today on, this is what we do. And the Babaji says, no, this is not Lord Chaitanya's movement. This is, doch, it is. And not just that, but the brahmachari is also wearing saffron. There's no such a thing, again, is wearing saffron, is brahmacharis. This is all Bhaktisiddhanta. In some Gaudiya mats, actually, they wear white. The brahmacharis wear white. And then he invented the whole temple structure. And then while traveling to India, he saw what is the best, how keen observer he was. What is the best managed organization in India? And he realized it's a railway. Indian railroad is the best managed organization. So he said, let's see how are they managing. So he researched a little bit, probably talked to somebody, and they said that we have a GBC, Governing Body Commission. There's not one person managing the place, but they have 10 or whatever, 15. And he said, this is the way we should manage Gaudiya Math. And he wanted GBC also, they call it also, Governing Body Commission. This is from the railroad, stolen, you can say. And he wanted to institute this. Of course, the Gaudiya Math devotees, after his demise, they did not follow the instruction. And therefore, Prabhupada, immediately after few years in ISKCON started, he immediately started GBC. And now we see why is this a great idea. Because out of 15 GBC, if 10 leave, okay, 5 will stay, and they will continue. So this is this is Prabhupada genius, of course. But we go back to Bhaktisiddhanta. He invented everything. He made the whole thing up. Initiation, second, the whole, In Gaudiya Math, of course, the first initiation you give in different mats, but you give it just initiation, and that's it. Haribol. It's a shraddha. So then you develop your shraddha a little more, then you come to the stage, okay, I want to take initiation. Although Prabhupada took one initiation only, we see it there. And also, in Gaudiya Math, there was no fixed number of rounds. We have 16 rounds, you promise initiation, 16 rounds. In Gaudiya Math, is you get initiated, and they say, Guru, you can chant 4 rounds, or you can chant 16 rounds, you can chant 64 rounds. Different devotees, different. It's an Indian style, For us, it's difficult. Western mind, you missed 4 rounds, 16. We cannot process such a way. But for Indians, it's not so difficult. Somehow they have a different mind. For them, it's okay, he chants 16, but for me, my Guru, they told me 4. They have a different mindset. And they said many times, I heard Bhakti Kasama's lectures, Bhakti Siddhanta would travel in the train, and he would initiate people in the train. We speak something, and I give you initiation. Your name is such and such. Give initiation. So he had many disciples. They said over 60. And nobody can count over 60,000 disciples. And another thing, Bhaktisiddhanta was also very much interested in new ways of preaching Krishna consciousness. I was, by the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when I first time came to India, 92, we went to Kurukshetra. At that time there was no temple, ISKCON temple at that time, but there was a Bhagavad Gita Advent. It was December. So the bus from Vrindavan went to Kurukshetra to celebrate there. There was Gopal Krishna Maharaj was giving lecture, whatever. So we all went there. And then we stayed, all the brahmacharis, we stayed in one big hall, some Gaudiya Mat, rented from the Gaudiya Mat or whatever. And in this hall, in the very end, were the dolls, which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati personally not made, but he had them made for his preaching. So he would travel with his dolls in the carts from village to village, and the villagers would saw this, wow, at that time this was like a high tech, And there was the dolls of Panchatattva, some Bhagavatam. And that's why when Prabhupada also came to the West, we have this, in Los Angeles, there's this doll exhibition museum. And there you can see, have you been there? No? I don't know if it's still working, but it worked in the 90s when I was there. They had a Mahavishnu, and we are changing the bodies, and some dolls are moving, and because this is what Prabhupada wanted to have, this museum of dolls. And we also have in Delhi temple, there's also different rooms for doll exhibition. There's some moving and this and that. Prabhupada wanted this. So this is all coming from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Doll exhibition. Printing press. This is also unheard of. Vaishnavas to print books. This is unheard of. So Bhaktisiddhanta was an amazing revolutionary person. And I will just read more. Just last, we have a Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine, like a prayer we have of Prabhupada. So here's another 3 edition. Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daita Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavena Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisance to Vashabhanavi Devi Daita Das. This is when Bhaktisiddhanta is initiated. This was his name. Vashabhanavi Devi Daita Das. Can you imagine, today a lecture will be given by Vaishnava, Vani, Vaishna, difficult. But this is actually Varshabhanavi, this is the name of Radharani. Varshabhanavi Devi Daita Das. The mercy of Srimati Radharani. And he is the ocean of transcendental mercy who is a deliverer of science of Krishna Sambandha Vijnana. Then Madhurya Jvala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate. I offer my obeisance to you, the personified energy of Shri Chaitanya's mercy, Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti, the merciful energy of Gaura. So he's the Shakti of Gaura. Who is the deliverer of devotional service of conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. Madhurya Ujvala Premadya means the one who gives. And Shri Rupa Nuga, exactly in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami, Shri Rupa Nuga. Then, this is many devotees' favorite, his 3rd mantra, Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaya Dina Tarina. I offer my respectful obeisance to you, personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Gauravani. Shri Murtaya, this means like a deity of personification of Gauravani. The deliverer of the fallen souls, and Rupa Nuga, Viruddha Appasiddhanta Dvantaharini. Appasiddhanta. Viruddha means not tolerating. He is not tolerating. Appasiddhanta. Appasiddhanta means philosophical deviation. Not tolerating. You are the deliverer of the fallen souls, and you do not tolerate any statement which is against the teachings of devotional service given by Rupa Goswami. Viruddha, no. He doesn't accept it. And at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was leaving his body, he was... he wanted one song only to be sung to him every day. And this song was, anybody knows? Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. This was the song. He wanted every day this song to be sung. Usually some senior devotees like Sridhar Swami will sing. I had actually heard recording or Sridhar Swami singing Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. And Sridhar Swami also, his disciple, Bhakti, Prabhupada's godbrother, says that he was very fond of hearing shloka from Das Goswami. This is Raghunath Das Goswami, which is from the Radhika Stava. From Radhika, what is this song? Radhika Ashtakam. He would hear this. This song from Radhika Ashtakam and Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was not only heavy, as we call it, but he was also very devotional. It is said, one of my favorite pastimes is the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. In his early days, he realized how much opposition he has in his preaching. And he said, I'm not going to preach anymore. Forget about it. It's too much, Sometimes also I went through phases like this and thinking, why are we preaching? Why? People don't care, first of all. Opposition from every side. So why do we put ourselves in such a trouble? Better to chant, read. And he said he thought, I will not preach anymore. And so that's it. Varibol. Because then he went to sleep. And then in his dream, everybody came. Panchatattva, Acharyas. And they said, no, you have to come. And he was like, okay. They told him, you have to keep on preaching. The whole parampara came. This is the parampara. All the gurus came, Gorkishodas Babaji, Jagannath Babaji. They all came in front of him. Panchatattva, the associates, said, no, you have to do it. So he thought, okay, Hare Krishna. So, of course, we'll continue tonight about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai.